Today, I got my hands on a Trek Mountain Track 820. And in this video, I'm gonna be cleaning it, tuning the drivetrain, and cleaning the frame, and getting it ready for a bike flip. So follow me on this journey. Hi, my name is Lewis, and I've been flipping bikes for the past 4 months, and just recently shifted over to flipping mountain bikes and hybrid bikes. I was primarily focusing on road bikes and modern road bikes from 2010 to 2000 plus year, and recently I've noticed the demand of hybrids and mountain bikes in my area is very similar. So I've been expanding, and in this video, I'm pleased to present to you this Mountain Track Trek 820 bike, and it's gonna need a little work. So let's take a look at it. When I took a closer look at this bike, I don't know about you, but I definitely saw some potential. The chain was roached. The cassette looks roached. So it's time to take it apart and clean up this bike. So I just started to remove this cantilever brake so that I can slip the tire out. And I removed the chain. Now this chain was stiff. Taking a closer look at what was on the chain, just seems to be years of neglect, dirt, and surface rust. Many people would just replace the chain. So I just started by putting on some degreaser on it to break down the dirt and surface rust. Then I was able to access the wheel by slipping it off with this quick release. And now the quick release skewer was so long, I don't know if you can see that, but the cassette also has some minor surface rust. Usually with my procedure on these parts is to take them off so that I can fully degrease them. I use the chain whip lock ring removal tool. Just to demonstrate, I just took off the cassette, and I also just cover it in a lot of degreaser. And as you can see though, it has some rust in between the teeth. Now, my job here is not to chase perfection, but functionality and presentation. So as long as it's functional and it's clean, I think my job is done. Now, this dork disc was beyond saving. The UV just completely wrecked that plastic. God knows how many years. Looking at the hub itself, man, this thing looked like really neglected. Like there was just dirt buildup inside of the hub. So I had to wipe that down and re-grease it and make sure I get that grime off of it, just so I can actually clean it. And I do the same thing for the rear derailleur. Now I just take off the cables. My business model is if it's working and there's no structural damage to the cables, I'm not gonna replace them, man. Again, I'm not doing a full restoration. I'm cleaning what I have and fixing what I need to fix to get this bike back on the road and still have room for some marginal profit. So the derailleur was also covered in that similar dirt, dried up grime. I always try to protect the bearings as well I just honestly just drenched this thing in some degreaser, man, because it really just needed it. Now I know the whole cycle of degreasing and then lubing and then degreasing breaks down components over time. That is something to be aware of. But in this situation at this price, man, as you can see, that derailleur came out a lot better. Now, it's not perfect. There's still some surface rust, cosmetic surface rust in between the plates. And now I could go as far as taking this whole derailleur apart. But does it work? Does it look presentable? Does it function well? Does it shift? That's all that matters in this level of tier on bikes, man. Unless you're going to fully restore a bike. If I was really going to fully restore this bike, I would just go ahead and dump these parts in the trash. But they work. Someone buying this for 80 bucks is not going to complain. So here you can see the cassette as well had some rust in between the teeth that I couldn't get, but it does look a lot better after degreasing. And after cleaning the frame, I just decided to mount it all back on. So it took a little bit of time, but the major work in general, I feel like these videos show the general user how to maintain or clean a bike and give insight on bike flipping and some mechanical work. I'm not a mechanic, but I do aspire to be one. Here we can see that I had to slip back in a cable housing into the cable housing guide on the frame on the down because it had slipped out when I got the bike. I found this bike at a thrift store and I was able to recover it. The tires were surprisingly not dry rotted as to something I expect from this age. Honestly, that little bit of rust in between the cassette does kind of piss me off, I'm not gonna lie. I would much rather give someone a clean, and it's not to downplay or downshade my own work, but maybe I'm just being a perfectionist here, because even just making this video I realize it is clean, a lot cleaner than it was, and a lot smoother in functionality. So here I'm just testing the cable tension. I had to loosen it back up and pull it even tighter. That's one thing that I'm learning, that I've learned at this point. Sometimes you can pull a cable tight, and on these mechanical shifting gears, man, that cable just needs to be tight, man. That's why you have barrel adjusters, but this one was just loose. So here's a different angle. I was just ensuring that the derailleur aligns and goes through all of the cassette's teeth on a vertical axis. And now I noticed the derailleur was bumping into the cassette at this point. I didn't know why. After mounting the chain back on, I realized it just needed the chain tension to ensure that it wasn't bumping into the cassette. It just seems like when you add that tension, it flexes down on the mechanism on the rear derailleur and it pulls it away. There's also the B tension screw that does this. So here I tune the shifting, and believe it or not, the limit screws were set and they didn't need to be touched. I was very happy about that. And the brake pads were good as well. I'm not gonna lie, these cantilever brakes are meant to last, man. The mechanism inside the cantilever brake and the brake pads themselves. So as you see, I'm just shifting through everything, ensuring it runs smooth on the front and the rear. That about wraps it up for this one. So that was the cleaning and tuning part. To be honest, on this bike, the shifting is solid. Like, the derailleur is aligned with a cassette. There's no skipping or hopping. There was a little bit of a stiff link there. After cleaning and degreasing the chain, the cassette, and the rear derailleur, it is looking sharper and a lot smoother. It's running a little bit easier after lubricating it and getting it. There's still that little stiff link from when I broke the chain. I'm not sure. I think that might have been my fault. But the brakes are solid. The rims are spinning true. Decently true. The one thing I did notice with this bike was, beside it being very dirty, there was some blemishes where the paint chipped and there was a little bit of rust starting to form. So my bright idea was to take a wire brush and take off that rust, that cosmetic rust, because after taking it off, looking deep down inside, well, not deep, but looking inside of where the rust was, it didn't structurally damage anything. So in this check, you guys saw me in this video, I pretty much disassembled the chain, took off the derailleur, took off the cassette, gave it a clean. There was some surface rust on the rear derailleur that is still there. At this price point, I'm not doing a full restoration. I'm just cleaning it and making sure that it can run smooth, and anything cosmetic above that I deem worthy, that doesn't need more investment, then it's not gonna get fixed. At least for me, a resale price at these bikes, I don't restore them completely. That doesn't say that maybe the person who buys this secondhand can go ahead and buy a new cassette, let's say, right? But the frame is good. There's no cracks. The tires are not dry rotted, surprisingly. The tires are pretty solid. And this was a quick video today, guys. I really do want to make a video where I show you guys what I check before I buy these bikes. Ran through the shifting with you. I ran through the disassembly of the drivetrain, part disassembly, not complete disassembly, but just enough to access the points that nobody likes to clean. I cleaned those. I feel like this business is turning into a huge cleaning and tuning, servicing. The cables, for example, they're not frayed to the point where I need to replace anything. The headset itself is not like crunchy or anything. The bottom bracket is not crunchy. The bottom bracket was spinning pretty good in terms of functionality. There's no play in it. So I went ahead and, again, this is the checklist. I check that the seat post is not seized. I check the saddle, obviously. I check the headset. I check the shifting. I check the rear derailleur, the front derailleur functionality. I check that the pedals are okay. I checked that the tires are not dry rotted. I checked that the spokes and the rim is spinning, you know, visibly true. Obviously, I don't have a tool for a wheel building stand. There are quick hacks to true it. If you really want to, you could just use the brake pads, but it's always best to get a truing stand. I'm going to invest in one of these very soon. And besides that, I also checked the hubs. These are sealed hubs, thank God. What else? I checked the crank, right? That the crank is okay, that it's spinning freely. The bottom bracket. What else? The hubs, the headset, the fork, the frame, the brakes, the tires, the rims, the cassette, the rear derailleur, the front derailleur, and the shifters up top. And after lubing it up and playing around with it, I really like the outcome. I really think this is a nice little, you know, bike for commuting if you need it, or if the people that buy these types of bikes. Someone was telling me about the gas prices going up, so they sort of kind of like these bikes, or they needed a bike too, and they liked a similar one that I had for commuting. So this is a great bike. I'm gonna go test ride it. I thank you guys for tuning in. I can have the before and after photos up here. So this is the before. So as you can see, the before, it looked rusted, very dirty. I've encountered dirtier. This is pretty simple. I kept the video pretty simple, just a simple breakdown. So that was the before, and now the after shots. So these shots are really, I mean, sometimes you can't tell the difference. I had bikes before like that, but I think this one you can kind of tell. This was mainly drivetrain servicing. It took me about, like, I want to say an hour, maybe an hour and a half, just to film it all and get you guys updated on this week's Bike Flip Chronicles. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the support and comments. You guys keep leaving the nice comments, the hate comments, the supportive comments, and keep leaving all the comments you guys want on the reels as well. Thank you guys for all the support. I've literally just started this like earlier this year. I can't believe it's already been, like, this is week 15. So it's just insane to me how fast this is accelerating and how much I like it. It can be kind of stressful at times. I was watching some videos online, people closing down their bike shop because it's like so much. But hey, I still find the need for doing these videos. I love them. I'm going to continue doing the reels. I'm going to continue doing a lot of stuff. I think it was Bike Farmer who, you know, shout out Bike Farmer. He posted a video of him closing down his shop and doing something else with his mechanical skills. So, I mean, kudos to him if that's what he likes to do, if that's what he wants to do. But you know, he was a big inspiration to me, and so I think a lot of the people in the community. So anyway, I think I'm gonna keep going with this one. I'm gonna go test ride it. The tires, the tubes were also checked. That's another thing. And consider liking this video and subscribing and becoming part of the journey on the Bike Flip Chronicles. All right, guys, so thank you again for tuning in this week. I gotta go edit this and I gotta go post this right now. So thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.